This is Greg Locke's church. He's on YouTube now, by the by. I don't know if you guys were aware. Greg Locke is on YouTube now. I went to his YouTube channel recently. It's got almost 100,000 subbies on there. I guess Greg Locke had a stand-in pastor step in for him to give his sermon for him this day. I've never seen this guy before. I've never even heard of him before, but, you know, I skipped through. I'd be willing to bet that this guy decides to get even more extreme intentionally because he knows Greg Locke likes people to be extreme. So let's just see what this guy has to say. Could be interesting. How do they let his unhinged hate rants on YouTube? Doesn't he violate all kinds of terms of service? Yes, he does. He does violate the terms of service and the community guidelines on a regular basis. And in an upcoming video that releases soon in the next week or so, I point out 2 specific examples of Greg Locke violating the community guidelines on YouTube in one single video. So I'll tell you what, let's keep a lookout in this video and see if we find any examples in here too. You basically need 3 strikes, or 4, I'm sorry. You basically need 4 strikes, a warning and then 3 strikes after that, to get removed from YouTube. I want Greg removed from YouTube. I don't want him to have the benefit of the algorithm to spread his hate. There's a video about witchcraft that I'm putting out that shows 2 specific examples of Greg Locke violating the community guidelines in one of his videos. Let's watch through this sermon with this guy, see if we can find any other examples of him violating the community guidelines. All right, let's get into it. Usually the first 30 minutes or so of Greg Locke videos are spent singing and stuff. Oh, Greg Locke is there. Greg Locke is actually present. Maybe he's just a guest speaker or something. Okay, weird. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with this, but Greg Locke is apparently in this. So hang on, let's just see if we can get to the end of this singing and then hear what Greg Locke has to say, and then we'll listen to his guest speaker.
I look forward to getting into the Word of the Lord here in just a bit after some more worship. And many of you know we have a special time. The Lord sends us people randomly here at the church and allows us to partner with folks and allow us to hear from some of the greatest patriots, the greatest preachers, the greatest people on the planet that are standing for truth and standing for righteousness. So all of our guys that are going to be doing our offering, you can have just a few moments. You don't have to stand yet. You can go ahead and be seated because just like we did a couple of weeks ago with Michael and Dale, we're going to have our special guest here in a few moments before we go into our time of offering. But I want to say this, just so I'll know, how many of you today, we don't get to do this every week. Sometimes
Yeah, I guess this is a special guest then. This isn't like a stand-in. Like, I thought Greg Locke was going to be sick or something, but no. It appears as though he's just... It appears as though it's just a special guest. I don't know who that is. I've never seen the guy before.
I just kind of get way ahead of myself. I tell people jokingly that I talk so fast sometimes that my tongue gets wrapped around my eye teeth and I can't see where I'm going, but sometimes I can...
Your tongue gets wrapped around your eye teeth? This guy does just sit around and come up with these stupid sayings all day, doesn't he? He just sits there tapping his pen on a notebook like Eminem in 8 Mile, thinking up rhymes and stupid jokes. You're about as unwanted as a ham sandwich in a synagogue. Come on, Greg. Pull it together, man.
Think straight, and I'm reminded to do this. If you today, for this service, have flown here, drove here, hitchhiked here, rode a bicycle, crawled, rode a donkey, you are here, but you are not. Now, I know we have people that drive a long ways every week in Tennessee, but if you are not from the state of Tennessee and you are here today for this service this weekend, can we honor you? Would you stand up all over this room? If you are not from the, look at this, if you are not from the state of Tennessee.
You know why this is? Do you know why he is drawing in so many big crowds? Because he's on YouTube and spreading across the algorithm. 100,000 subscribers right now. He is benefiting from the YouTube algorithm In fact, why don't we just take a look at his analytics, shall we? Let's just see what his analytics look like. Pastor Greg Locke, these are his analytics. He's getting roughly 7,000 views a day. That's not nothing. That's roughly as many as my Telltale Unfiltered channel gets. There was a period, let's see. It looks like he's maxed out at yeah, he's getting roughly as many views as my Telltale Unfiltered channel. A little bit less, maybe. That's not nothing. That is not nothing. Apparently, he's had his channel since 2019. I didn't know he had a YouTube channel. I honestly did not. We need to do something about this. As in, find examples of him violating the rules and get him banned for it. Everyone has to follow the rules on YouTube. Everybody. Even me. And I do. Not good. Didn't realize Unfiltered was getting 7K a day. Some days it gets 15K. Yeah, the Unfiltered channel is doing really, really well. I'm pretty proud of it. Anyway, let's keep listening.
Hallelujah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You may be seated. I know we'll have some folks that'll be coming in that are either at their church this morning or are watching our service this morning, and they'll be in this afternoon. But if you're going to be here tonight for our 6 o'clock deliverance service, put your hand behind the ear just so I can oh, yes, it's going to be a good service tonight at 6 o'clock. Tonight, officially, is our 20th straight Sunday night of mass deliverance service here at Global Vision. 20 Sunday nights in a row. We've had those revival services, and it has been beautiful to watch. Hundreds of people from all over America and around the world. We've had them here literally from all over Europe. We've had them from Africa. We've had them from Asia. Lady flew in a couple of weeks ago for the one evening service from Hong Kong. People coming from Canada, people coming from around the world. Because as the song said, there is still power in the name of Jesus. Amen. There's power over demons. There's power over sickness. There's power over addiction and affliction. And so tonight, doors will open at 5 o'clock. Please do not be late. We'll start promptly at 6 o'clock for our Global Vision Bible Church 20th week mass deliverance service. Give the Lord a hand on that, man. That is unbelievable. 20 straight weeks we've had that service, and it's been beautiful to behold. And so I look forward today to all of our baptisms, to our meet and greet time, and to all of that. But many of you know that I put out a few days ago that we were going to have one of my friends, and really a friend to America, here today in our service. And we've known each other for quite some time. It's amazing.
Right, so now he's going to introduce his special guest. I have no idea who this guy is.
What the world of social media can do and the alliances that can be built around that. Something that the prince of the power of the air is trying to use for evil, we've been able to use for good. For number one, the propagation of the gospel, and number two,
yeah, you catch what he said there? We've been able to use social media for the propagation of gospel. No, you've been using it for the propagation of hate, actually. And something needs to be done about it desperately. There are hate speech rules on these platforms to prevent this kind of thing, and nothing's being done about it.
The survival of this nation, because how many of you know God's not done with this nation yet, ladies and gentlemen? He is not done with America. I'm telling you, God's coming in the back door of revival, sending persecution, raising up the giants, raising up an army, thinning out the ranks of people that aren't serious, because God's tired of this lukewarm, lackadaisical, limp-wristed, skinny jean wearing generation of people that won't stand up and say what needs to be said. And I'm telling you, God's raising people up out of every vocation, ministry, and spectrum that you can imagine.
You know, I was talking to somebody recently. I'm not going to specify exactly who, because I don't want it to get back to the person that I heard about this. But there was this guy, he's about my age, and he was talking to somebody I know, and he was saying, every male believes that 15 and 16-year-olds are hot. 15, 16-year-old girls are hot. And if you don't admit that, then you're just a coward. You're too afraid of society to just come out and say it. Every male believes this. I don't. In fact, I don't know of many personally, that believe that. In fact, that's the first time I had ever heard somebody espouse such a brazen, bizarre, disturbing position. Yeah, I know that there are some people out there who are, effectively, if you're interested in 15-year-old girls and you're 30, in my mind, that makes you a right? I know they're out there, but to live in such a delusion as to believe that every single male out there also feels that way is just bizarre. And that's kind of the situation with Greg Locke here, right? He's like, everybody feels the way I do. Everybody in the world realizes God is real and is important and hates gay people and hates this thing and that thing. And if you're a pastor and you're pro-LGBT, then it's because you're too weak to admit the truth. You're too weak to go with what God actually wants you to go with. You know what's right. This is like main character syndrome, right? Like, it can't possibly be that you're wrong. It can't possibly be that other people view things differently than you. It has to be the case that everyone else views things exactly the same as you, and they're all just cowards. You're the only one that has the to come out and say it. It's just like, where are people's heads that they view things this way? Honestly, it honestly blows me away. As far as I'm concerned, the specific age doesn't have much to do with it. It's the age difference that really matters to me. I'm a teacher, and I've never seen my 16 and 17-year-old students as anything other than grungy teens. Really, WTF is wrong with people? When I was 12, I was into 12-year-olds. When I was 18, I was into 18-year-olds. I'm 30. I am now into 28 to 32-year-olds. Actually, I'm 32. I'm almost 33, but you get the point. As we age up, our interest ages up with us usually. I look at an 18-year-old, and they look like a child to me. Let's step back and continue with Locke. Sorry for going on that weird little rant.
Now, he'd be the first to tell you this, but everybody wants to be internet famous until it happens. And then your whole life's under scrutiny. Did you know I could preach the same sermon? Get this. I could preach the...
Hey, my life's not under scrutiny. You know why? Because I don't go out there attacking people, maligning them, lying about them. I don't go out there saying things that are untrue in an attempt to get more social media clicks. My life is not under scrutiny. Maybe try not being awful to people. Maybe that would change things for you, Greg.
The same sermon. Get this. I could preach the same sermon 2 weekends in a row, and 90% of the people would never even notice it. But if I wore the same tie 2 weekends in a row, I'd have 5,000 haters online tell me I need to go buy some more ties, right? People pay attention.
Yeah, I mean, people will sometimes, get, kind of persnickety, and they'll criticize you for stupid things sometimes, but that's not the same as tearing your life apart or attacking you or whatever else. Yeah, sure, I've been criticized, I've been attacked. I mean, it happens when you get big. It's not a consistent problem with me. You know what is a consistent problem? Greg Locke screaming about how much he hates people. If he didn't scream about how much he hates people consistently, maybe people wouldn't criticize him as much as they do. Kranix Board, I think. I love your content. I'm glad for people like you, since we're the same kind of person that pulled me out of the alt-right rabbit hole. That's good news. Yeah, definitely. I was going down the alt-right rabbit hole for a while, but eventually I pulled it together. I didn't even go down the alt-right rabbit hole that deep before I realized that it was all bullshit and kind of pulled myself out. So I definitely got lucky. Okay, let's keep listening.
To the dumbest things. You get criticized for the craziest things. You can go to restaurants, people get up and walk out because they don't want to be in there.
That's not because you're a public figure. There are a lot of public figures who just live their life and do their thing and whatever. It's no big deal. It's when you do something that's really, really fucked up that hurts a lot of people. That's when you get people out there complaining. You think people are attacking, I don't know, just name any famous person. You think people are out there attacking Justin Timberlake and screaming at him, or Justin Bieber? You think they're yelling at him for being an evil piece of garbage? You think he has to worry about going to a restaurant he might get beat up or something? No. What he worries about is people loving him too much. You, Greg Locke, you worry about people hating you because you put hate out into the world. If you didn't put hate into the world, you wouldn't have to worry about it. Just saying.
Patronizing with your family. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that there is still a remnant of people that are rising up that have had a gut full of the nonsense and say enough is enough. Enough is enough. And many of you for a long time had followed this gentleman who is not just a mighty patriot. He's a mighty warrior for the Lord. And God is doing some amazing things in this man's life, in his family, with his foundation, with his organization. Global Vision Bible Church, get on your feet. We're going to welcome the one and only Graham Allen to the tent this morning. Hallelujah.
Who? Graham Allen what? Let me just step back, listen again.
Organization. Global Vision Bible Church, get on your feet. We're going to welcome the one and only Graham Allen to the tent.
Graham Allen. I think he's a politician. Public figure. He's the host of the Dear America podcast, apparently. Give me a second. I'm just trying to read about this. Graham Allen. Yeah, he was a politician. He ran for public office, Republican primary in South Carolina, District 7, it looks like. He ran there. So I guess that means, was it state or federal? I think it was federal election. So he was, U.S. House. He was running for U.S. House of Representatives, looks like. Apparently he withdrew or was disqualified. I'm not sure which or why, but he definitely ran as a Republican in South Carolina's 7th Congressional District for the House of Representatives. He's considered a public figure. He's the host of the Dear America podcast. He has a Facebook page, apparently. The Daily Rants guy. He's got 3.5 million followers on Facebook. 3.5 million followers. So he's almost like Joe Rogan of Facebook. I had no idea. And also he works for TP USA, Turning Point USA. Here's their description about him on TP USA's website. Former Army Staff Sergeant and 12-year Army combat veteran, having served 2 tours in Operation Iraqi Freedom, Graham Allen is responsible for building one of the fastest growing social media platforms in the country. He built a social media platform? Wow. Is it anything like Truth Social? Or did he mean to say he's responsible for growing a social media account? There's a big difference there. In 2017, Graham was named as one of Huffington Post's 22 veterans to watch in 2017. Graham has commanded over 1 billion video views online and has amassed over 5 million followers. I saw 3.5 million, but okay. As a rising entrepreneur, Graham is the founder of Graham Allen Media, LLC, and editor-in-chief of DailyRants.com. Graham launched the Dear America Foundation in support of veterans, law enforcement, and other first responders. So there you go. That's who this guy is. Graham Allen. Never heard of him before. Apparently he's got like 3.5 to 5 million followers on Facebook and other places. Had no idea. But okay. Let's keep listening, shall we? See what he has to say for himself.
This morning. Hallelujah. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Oh, no. Don't sit down yet. You can do better than that. What's going on, Tennessee? Woo, man, I tell you what. I'm from Mississippi, And there's just something about a tent. Praise God. This is amazing.
I thought he ran in South Carolina's congressional district, not Tennessee. Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah, by the way, that last statement, there's something about a tent. Greg Locke holds services in a circus tent, FYI.
And before I get going, I feel like I should let you guys know I'm not a pastor. In case you didn't know, but now you've been warned. So if you need to leave now, go ahead. Here we go. Can we just get a round of applause for your pastor right now?
No, he's absolutely terrible.
While everybody else shut down, while the rest of the church community said, we're going to obey what the government says instead of God, your pastor, through God himself, did this. Can we hear it for your pastor?
Oh, my God. They're talking about the fact that Greg Locke didn't want to shut down the church during, like, the lockdown stuff. Or he didn't, I'm sorry, let me rephrase. Not that Locke didn't want to shut down the church. Nobody asked him to. He didn't want to do something as simple as hold services online or even hold them outside. He refused to do even that. And when somebody specifically asked him, do you think you can hold services online or outside instead of inside? You know what he said? He said, if you come here and try to make us hold services outside instead of inside this tent, we're coming at you with our Second Amendment rights. That's what he said. In fact, I have a video of it. Dude, we're just asking you to help us stay safe. We're asking you to help us not spread a deadly illness. Can't even do that. Can't even do that. Let's see if I can find that clip. Hang on. Book burning, Saga, autism is really demon possession, turns on Trump over vaccines, you're a conspiracy theorist if you think Biden won the election. Too many polar bears in the pulpit. Wait, we have too many polar bears in the pews because we have too many popsicles too many polar bears in the pulpit because we have popsicles in the pews. That's what he said.
The reason we got so many popsicles in the pews because we got too many polar bears in the pulpit. Amen?
Amen, brother. Amen to that, I suppose. Whatever. Let's keep looking here. Banned from Twitter. Rants about the Freemasons. Says math is nonsense. This is a good one.
I'm dumber than a box of rocks in a lot of areas. Facebook just makes people think I'm smart.
No.
I graduated from high school almost 2 years late with an 8th grade bonehead math degree. I failed pre-algebra 2 years in a row. I've never had business math, consumer math. I never even made it past pre-algebra. Never had real algebra. I hate math. Somebody say amen. Yes, you're like me. I get nervous when the Holy Spirit wants me to preach out of the book of Numbers. I hate math. It's nonsense.
No, math is literally the exact opposite of nonsense. It is not nonsense in any way, shape, or form. And the fact that he called math nonsense blows me away. This dude is something else. Anyway, this is the clip I was looking for originally. Watch this.
We have a big old sign that says, this is a mask-free church. We won't even let you wear a mask on our church campus.
Genius. You know, we're trying to prevent worldwide illness from spreading, and you are banning people from taking basic precautions.
We celebrate faith over fear because God's not giving us the spirit of fear, but
Whoa, okay, God's not giving you the spirit of fear. You celebrate faith over fear. So you should be willing to give up your guns then, right? You shouldn't want to bring guns everywhere because you don't live in fear all the time. Is that right?
of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. So I said, okay. I said, we're going to have to go ahead and deal with this right now. Since the media's here, since they're trying to shut us down, they need to know that we are both biblical and constitutional. So I said, we so believe in our First Amendment right to gather that if you show up and you impede on our First Amendment right to worship, we gonna meet you at the door with our Second Amendment right, because we are not closing our church because the government told us to.
So there you go. Greg Locke intends to shoot anybody who tries to enforce a lockdown. The cops were called on Locke for not holding services outside originally, and the cops showed up and said, look, they just wanted me to show up and I'm here, but I really support what you're doing. There's a real problem with the police in the U.S., by the way, if you haven't caught on to that. And Locke said that exact statement. If you try to stop us from meeting, then we're going to shoot you. That's what that statement means. If you show up, or if you impede on our First Amendment rights to gather, we're going to shoot you. That's what that means. I mean, it doesn't get much clearer than that. Deeply disturbing stuff, man. And this guy is currently actively right now spreading his message through YouTube. Something needs to be done about this. We need to report his channel for saying what he says up there. Biblical and constitutional. Man, what a contradiction. You can't be biblical and constitutional at the same time, Lamau. Absolutely, yeah, I agree. The First Amendment contradicts the First Commandment. You cannot be both. But doesn't matter to him. He doesn't care. He's going to believe that he's capable of being both anyway. Disgusting, man. Absolutely disgusting. Anyway, back to Graham Allen telling us how great Greg Locke is for not shutting down during a worldwide pandemic.
More importantly, can we hear it for what God is doing underneath this tent right now? Woo, man. Okay, I've always wanted to say this. You can be seated. Go ahead. Oh, man. Thank you guys so much for having me. Pastor Locke, thank you so much. Our friendship goes way, way, way back. And he told me that I got like 15, 20 minutes to talk. And so, I said let's give or take 30, 40 minutes, whatever. We're going to have a good time. We're going to see what happens here today. No, I'm serious. If I need to get out, just, grab the curtain call. Let's go. Oh, man. Today's going to be a little different than what you guys are probably thinking. In fact, some of you, how many people, for risk of embarrassing myself, how many people have heard my show or anything or a video or anything like that before? Okay, a couple people. How many people don't like me? Okay, good. There we go. All right. How many people have no idea who I am and you're wondering if you got on the wrong bus? Okay, fantastic.
That would be me. But apparently, like I said, this guy doesn't, he has well, according to him, he has 5 million subbies on a social media account. But all I saw was 3.5 million. So I guess it's possible that I was looking at the wrong account or something. I don't know. He is influential either way. He's like the Joe Rogan of the Christian world or whatever.
All right. So my name is Graham Allen. I could go through all the exploits of things that I do and this and that. Basically, the Reader's Digest version is I talk for a living. That's what I do.
Me too. Perfect. I'm in good company, I guess, huh?
And I made a career, I guess you could say, of just saying what I believe needed to be said, because I realized about 8 years ago in the political world and in our culture that there were so many people that wanted to say something about the evils and wrongdoings that they saw in our country, but they were afraid. They were scared. Normal, everyday people, either through repercussions of their job, repercussions of their marriage, of their family, etc. People just wouldn't say obvious things.
Yeah, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Obvious to you, not obvious to everyone else in the world. Not everybody believes the Bible says the LGBT community is evil or they should be, they should receive capital punishment or whatever. Not everybody believes that. They are not obvious things to everybody else. It's like that guy I was talking about earlier. Dude believed that everybody who's over 30, every man that's over 30 years old is attracted to 15-year-olds. No, I'm not. 15-year-olds look like kids. They look like children because they are children to the majority of the world. Although I have to say, that viewpoint is actually a lot more common than you would think, and you'd be disturbed by the statistics if you saw them. But, you know, that's why there's an 18-plus category on some of these websites that you go to. It's disturbing, and there are more than there should be, but it's not everybody. Not everybody thinks the way that you do.
And I said, I'll say it. Why not? That'll be fun. It's not as fun as it looks like, I promise you.
I have a lot of fun speaking my mind. I don't have any problems with like people protesting me or hating me or whatever. I get millions of views per month. I think between all of my channels and everything, I think I get somewhere around 3 million views a month. See, I have somewhere around 400,000 subscribers combined between my channel. Over 400,000 subscribers. I get more views every month than there are people on the island of Manhattan. Not to toot my own horn, not to put a puff in my own petticoat, I get a lot of views and attention and interest. The point isn't how great I am or how many people I get listening or whatever. There are certainly people that are bigger than me. In fact, this guy gets more views than I do. But the point is, people don't hate me. I have a good reputation, generally speaking. People don't hate me because I'm not a hate monger myself. I don't talk about, people. I don't talk about how people deserve to go to prison or they deserve to this thing or that thing or how they're evil or how God hates them or any of that. And I don't focus in on intrinsic qualities about people either. My whole thing is criticize opinions, don't attack people. And as a result, I've never been chased out of a restaurant. Well, to be fair, some Trump supporters were unhappy that I was trying to make sure that a teacher upholds the law. She broke the law and violated my kids' constitutional rights. And after reporting her for that, some extremist nutcases got upset. I don't see anything particularly wrong with that. That's beside the point. My point is, I have a great reputation. People don't really hate me. It's possible to do things. It's possible to be a public figure without being completely despised and hated.
Me and Pastor went to lunch yesterday, and I was half concerned that, I was worried about security there for a little bit. Both of us in the same place at the same time. Woo, the devil would have been upset about that. In fact, he was. But anyway, what I want to talk to you guys about today, I'm going to do my best not to talk about politics because, believe it or not, the reason that I am here today is I want to tell you guys what the Lord has been working through my heart since about February. So if it's all right with you, can I tell you what the Lord has told me to tell you today?
Lay it on me, buddy.
Again, I'm not a pastor, but here we go. So,
again, I'm not a pastor, i.e., I'm about to tell you what the Lord is telling me, but I'm not a prophet of God, FYI. That's basically what he's trying to communicate here. I'm not a prophet. This is just my opinion. But I'm still going to tell you what the Lord told me.
Many of you know, about a year ago, I decided to run for Congress. And I lost. So, there's that is.
No, he didn't lose. He was disqualified or withdrew. That was the impression that I got. I mean, that's what it says on the website. He didn't actually ever get to the voting stage, according to the websites that I looked at. So I'm not really sure what he means he lost. Withdrawing or being disqualified is not the same as losing.
Let me tell you what I learned. So I prayed about this. Me and my family, we prayed about this. God, we're doing really well right now. Business is going well. We got about 50 employees. Things are going nice. why in the world would you want me to run for Congress? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But prayed about it, sought counsel about it. That's what we decided to do. New York Times, Fox News, everybody, Graham Ellen's running for Congress, da-da-da-da-da. Fast forward about a year later.
Dude, not to interrupt his story, but I don't know why anybody would ever want to run for Congress, ever. Or run for any public office. Have you seen what they do to Joe Biden? They tear his life apart. Didn't Tucker Carlson get his hands on Joe Biden's daughter's diary and read excerpts from it at one point? Yeah, he read Joe Biden's daughter's diary. Also, all the shit that's going on with Hunter Biden, finding pictures of him doing drugs and all that. We knew the guy did drugs. We knew he was a drug addict at one point. This is not news to anybody. But, I mean, he even wrote a book about it. Hunter Biden did. He wrote a book about being addicted to drugs and how he destroyed his own life and how he came back from it. And they are digging up these pictures of him, like, you know, doing drugs and stuff, or these videos that he took of talking about drugs or whatever. Like, first of all, Hunter Biden isn't in the Biden administration, so I'm really not sure why they even care what's going on with Hunter Biden. And second, we knew that he was involved in drugs. Why are they bothering with this? I would never, ever in my life, ever want to be a politician. Because they make your life miserable. Intentionally. They do everything they can to wreck you. It's not just, you know, if you have skeletons in the closet, they'll find them and they'll exploit them. It's like they will fabricate skeletons. They will make skeletons up. If they can't straight up find dirt on you, they will just make skeletons up. They will do everything they can to get their hands on your daughter's diary and read it in front of millions of people. Seriously, does it get lower than that? I would hate to be a politician, but I have actually been tempted to run because that's the type of person that should be a politician. The type of person who doesn't want to be. Right now, the only people running to be politicians are the ones that desperately want to be. People who want power and will do anything to get it. They should not be politicians. If I ran for some type of Congress or something, that would be one fewer spot that a corrupt piece of shit could fit in the system. So I've considered it for that sake alone. But the amount of time and work and money that it would take to get there, and you kind of have to be a scumbag to win to some degree, right? You have to step on people's faces. I wouldn't. I simply would not. I make the most moral decision in every situation, no matter what. If you disagree with a decision I make, you just have to convince me that there's a more moral one than that. That's it. And for that reason, I think I would lose. So, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've thought about it. I don't know the process. I have no idea how I would even go about running or even winning or any of that. So, anyways, yeah, let's keep listening to Graham Allen, see what he has to say about running to be a politician.
And I always like to tell people the circles that I run in, the blessings that God's allowed me to do. I always like to say that before I ran for Congress, I saw about 40% behind the veil. But then when I decided to run for Congress, I truly believe that then I got to see 50% behind the veil. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. That extra 10% was so dark, it was so evil, it was so corrupt, that I believe God had me run only to have President Donald Trump himself call me and ask me to get out of the race for a reason. And that
Is that why he withdrew? Like I said, according to the website, he didn't lose. He didn't even get to the vote counting part. He withdrew. So is that what happened? I mean, I don't know. The dude could be completely full of it for all we know. He could be lying about everything, but he's telling us Trump called him and asked him not to run?
himself called me and asked me to get out of the race for a reason. And that reason is for me to stand here today and tell you that the government isn't going to save this country. Politicians aren't going to save this country. The only person that can is not a person. It is God himself.
This is disturbing stuff, dude. This is Christian nationalism at its clearest. I mean, this is the perfect example of Christian nationalism right here.
So around January, I got a phone call from the president. The president. That's what I said. And he...
I guess what he's... by saying that, what he means is Joe Biden isn't the president. Donald Trump is the president currently actively, and he called Donald Trump the real president. I mean, does this count as distrusting the electoral system in the U.S.? Like, if you remember, part of the terms of service on YouTube is you can't claim that there was fraud in the 2020 presidential election in the U.S. Does this count as seeding doubt about its efficacy or about its authenticity or whatever? I don't know. You be the judge.
He asked me, he said, Graham, we love you. Well, this is what it was like. Graham, we love you. The whole family loves you. Everybody loves you. You're amazing. You're great. You're beautiful. Believe me.
Yeah, that's a spot-on Trump impression.
But I got to ask you to get out of the race. Because if you don't get out of the race, you're going to split the vote, and we can't have splitting of the votes. We got to take them out. And that was on my birthday. The president didn't know that, but it was on my birthday. It was a great birthday present.
Well, I mean, talking to one of your heroes would be a pretty cool present, I would assume. Not for nothing.
And for those of you who aren't in my world, in the pastor's world, you know that anytime something like that happens, it's only about an 8 to 12 hour period before New York Times, President shuns longtime ally Graham Allen for state rep, It was humiliating. All right, it's one thing to run for a congressional seat. It's another thing to know that if you lose, the entire country is going to know about it, and the entire side that hates you is going to laugh at you for it. It's a whole other thing to put yourself in that situation. So I had my feelings hurt a little bit, and I did what any rational person would do. I looked at my wife and I said, I'm going to leave for like a week and go on a mountain out in North Carolina by myself, and I'm going to pray about what's next. And thank God I have a loving, Jesus-loving, God-fearing wife that said, you know what, that's exactly what you should do. And so, if it's all right with you, while I still have some time, I would like to tell you what God told me on that mountain to come tell you today.
So he is claiming to be a prophet of God, huh? Because he said he's not a pastor or anything like that. Apparently, he's claiming that he received prophecy from God himself when he was on a mountain. Okay.
Is that okay?
Kind of like Moses.
With everybody? So, I'm up on the mountain, and I'm praying, seeking God. God, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do, God? What's next? I immediately had job offer after job offer, Newsmax, Fox News, everything. Everybody wanted me, everybody. And I'm not saying that like look at me. I'm saying that like the devil, sometimes right before you're on a breakthrough, the devil seems to put things right in front of your path that seem like a blessing at the time, but it's really to deter you from the breakthrough that you were fixing to do for the kingdom of God. So after a week up on the mountain, I turned down every one of those jobs, and I had this idea. I contacted every pastor I knew. I sought counsel. The Lord was telling me, Graham, you have to go to the churches, and you have to tell them the truth of what is actually going on. And I said, God, that's going to be really hard. I don't know if you know me or not, but you made me this way, and there's a lot of people that don't like me. So I don't know how that's going to go. So let me tell you a truth really quick. How many of you know that COVID, this Roe v. Wade thing, all this free speech stuff, all it has done, there's always been a problem in the church. And when I say the church, I'm talking about the big C church, right? Everybody know what I'm talking about when I say that? The church is actually you. Does everybody know that? Like, okay. So, Big C church, these massive organizations that have their tax-free status, that get so big, they get a little bit of status, they get a little bit of attendance, they get a little bit of money, and then all of a sudden, they completely forgot everything that the Bible actually says about everything.
Okay, so it sounds like he's talking about basically people like Kenneth Copeland. It sounds like he's talking about all the same people that Greg Locke complains about 24/7, right?
So I start reaching out to these churches. Everybody I know, and again, this is not to like show clout or status. This is to tell you guys the truth. Me and your pastor either know personally or are one person away from pretty much every church, every Republican, whoever it may be. We're about one person away from getting in touch with those people.
Yeah, 1 degree of separation. I mean, I guess, you know, he's kind of like tooting his own horn. He's kind of putting a puff in his own petticoat here, if you will. Probably doesn't look the best, but okay.
So I thought, man, maybe this will be easy. Let me tell you something. That was in February, and your pastor is the first one to allow me to come and talk to you today. This church is doing it the right way. Your pastor is not afraid to stand in the gap for what actually needs to be talked about. Give it up for your pastor again. He's doing it right. So I started looking around. I started researching. I started doing my due diligence, right? Trying to figure out what is going on. What is happening? And I looked at all these pastors. I looked at all these churches, and I said, why in the world is our society the way that it is? Let me tell you something. If you look around America and you don't recognize it today, we need look no further than in the mirror as us, as Christians, as the church, because it's cowardice that has led to America falling to the way that it is. So I normally just, go with it here. But since it's church, I figured I'd have to have a couple references here of what I'm talking about. So the left might be trying to destroy America, but trust me when I say this, woke Christianity is going to kill it first.
Woke Christianity. So I guess he's turning on anybody who disagrees with him, basically. So he's turning on his own side here. He wants Christians to be even more extreme. I think this is a bad strategy for the right now, because Christianity is already turning extreme, and you are isolating Christians from joining your group for fear they'll recognize like how extreme you really are. I think the better idea for these people would be to just let Donald Trump isolate the moderates and make them more extreme, as he's been doing for a while now.
It is time, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the church, you, to stand up and engage in what is going on in our society. Let me tell you something. Right now, what is happening is our job as Christians is to stand in the tension of the gap between grace and truth. That is our job. That is what we're supposed to do. If you have too much truth, not enough grace, it doesn't work. If you have too much grace, not enough truth, it doesn't work. So what we have here, 99% of the churches right now are all about grace. Give people grace. Oh, we love everybody, which we're supposed to, but let's just give them grace. Grace without truth is nothing.
So grace without truth. So you need to stop being nice to people and start preaching hellfire and damnation, basically. Am I reading this correctly? That's what it seems like he's saying to me, just right off the top of my head here.
In fact, the space between grace and truth that these Christians are saying they're doing what they're supposed to do is actually a deflection, and it is cowardice that we're losing sight of what is actually supposed to be done. If you've got a child, all you ever do is give them grace after grace after grace with no truth. Well, you have probably an adult degenerative society that can't even tell the difference between a man and a woman.
Okay, I don't know what he means by that. Everybody can tell the difference between a man and a woman. This is just a stupid culture war issue that he's jumping on. This is hate speech right here. This is enough to get him a hate speech strike on YouTube, probably. I haven't been writing down timestamps. Hang on. Can't tell the difference between a man and a woman. Let me just look up the hate speech rules. Hate speech guidelines, YouTube. Let me just see. Hate speech policy. Hate speech is not allowed on YouTube. We remove content promoting violence or hatred against individuals or groups based on any of the following attributes: age, caste, disability, ethnicity, gender identity and expression, nationality, race, immigration status, religion, sex or gender, sexual orientation, victims of a major violent event and their kin, or veteran status. So this is borderline. He's kind of going borderline in all of this stuff. All right, let's keep listening.
So I'm here today to say this. And I want to talk about a couple Bible verses here really quick. So bear with me here. I want to read this to you. So this is in Proverbs 18:17. I love this verse, and I'm going to read two different versions from you. I'm going to read King James at first, and it says this: He that is first in his own cause seemeth just, but his neighbor cometh and searcheth him. Now, I'm from Mississippi, so let me dumb it down for you a little bit, because I need it this way. Listen.
Please do.
To this version. The person who tells one side of a story seems right until someone else comes along and tells the other side of the story. And what we have going on right now, we have a spiritual battle under the veil of politics, under the veil of social media, under the veil of church, that they only want one side to speak. But the real strong spine Christians that want to come up and say the other side of the story, they want to cancel you. They want to shut you down, or worse, Christians and pastors want to tell you that politics have no business in church.
That's true. Do you know what happens when politics get all wrapped up in church? Kitty, you are making noises in my microphone. Quit that. You know what happens when politics get involved in church? Extremism explodes. A Christian nationalist state takes over. That's what. Trust me, you do not want. The only person that it benefits for politics and religion to mix are the people that are actually mixing the two. The pastor that becomes a congressman and his specific church are the only two. That's it. particularly because they're from a different denomination than the vast majority of Christians. These Christians are not like you. I promise. If you're a Christian, you want this just as little as I do. Believe me, this is an extremist branch of Christianity.
How many people agree with that statement? You see, me and the pastor were having a conversation, and what's going on is not just the news, not just big tech, not just the government, but churches are now changing words around to make it fit into their narrative. See, anything that actually deals with morality or culture that would upset some people because truth is being spoken, the church now turns around and says, well, that's too political, so we can't talk about that. How are we supposed to lead people to Jesus if we don't tell the truth about what Jesus actually believes and what Jesus knows to be true?
So you can't talk about Jesus unless you bring politics into the mix. Am I reading this correctly? Politics is a fundamental part of Jesus' teachings. I don't remember Jesus getting involved in stupid culture war issues. If I remember correctly, Jesus specifically said you shouldn't be involved in politics, right? In fact, there were people who were trying to use his movement to avoid paying taxes and all this other stuff. Jesus specifically said, pay your taxes and do your thing, just so that you can get back to loving God and showing him how much he means in your life and all that good junk, right?
In fact, anybody seen that documentary? We work with the Daily Wire. Anybody seen that documentary, What is a Woman? Anybody seen that? It's an amazing thing. You really should see it. It's actually quite terrifying, really. If it's you right now in your own head, don't shout it at me, but define truth in your mind right now. What is truth?
Wow, it sounds like he's going the, what's the word I'm looking for here? Epistemological, I think that's it. Yeah, he's going the epistemological route here, okay?
Think about it in your mind right this second. If you were on Jeopardy right now, I'll take what is truth for 500, Alex. What's the answer? Well, the Bible's very clear about what the answer is. It says, God is truth. Therefore, the Bible is truth. Therefore, what the Bible says is truth. And if we're tiptoeing around as Christians on what the reality is, then what are we doing?
Well, that's the thing. The Bible it has so many different things in it. Like it espouses so many different opinions. You cannot possibly use it as a moral guide. It is impossible. I mean, just look at how many different denominations there are. There are so many different people believe so many different things because it is such a gigantic book that it's impossible to draw a single message from it. But this guy believes that his message is correct and everyone else is wrong. Well, guess what? Everyone else thinks the exact same thing. That's why there are so many denominations in the first place. That's why they exist.
Ask a woke pastor about Juneteenth, and they will go all out. Ask them.
Actually, a quote-unquote woke pastor probably won't say much about it, certainly not from the pulpit, because they don't believe in mixing religion and politics. The most quote-unquote woke pastors will do is usually they will put Black Lives Matter signs outside their church. That's not really political. I mean, it is a little bit, but ultimately it's just about respecting human lives and human dignity. It's not really political. You know, it is political? Saying that you're going to shoot anybody who tries to get you to hold services outside because you're invested in this culture war issue over the pandemic. That's pretty political. There are a lot of political things that these people tend to do. But they want to paint the other side as the people who are actually being political. And their version of being political is required. It's necessary because that's what Jesus would want. It's straight up Fantasyland delusional thinking, honestly.
About abortion before the Roe v. Wade
Hang on, let me step back just a few seconds here. There we go.
is, then what are we doing? Ask a woke pastor about Juneteenth, and they will go all out. Ask them about abortion before the Roe v. Wade decision came around, and they do this. Don't talk about that.
Well, isn't that interesting? Isn't that exactly what people should be doing? I mean, shouldn't people be not talking about certain political issues? It's people's choices to do what they want. You're trying to force people to live the way that you want them to live. It's like that famous cartoon of that guy walking in the park, two people sitting on a bench eating ice cream, and they say, and the guy comes in and he says, eating ice cream's against my religion. And the people say, well, then don't eat ice cream. He says, no, you don't understand. It's against my religion, so you're not allowed to do it either. That is the mindset of these people. If I believe something, you have to believe it too, or you have to follow my instructions on it. This is called a Christian nationalist state, where they take control of the government and enforce their will on everybody around them. This is Christian nationalism right here, exactly what he's describing.
Talk about this. Don't talk about that. Because we have to love everyone. We have to have grace for everyone. But if we don't have truth coupled with grace, then we're liars about what the Bible actually says.
So if you don't try to form out a Christian nationalist state to the best of your ability, then you are lying. Basically, then you're breaking one of the 10 commandments, right?
So I've got one more thing to tell you before I leave you today. First of all, there's this illusion. You see, church world, unfortunately, I found out, is a lot like political world. You see, Lord, be with me in my words here. I pray, Lord, that the words that come out of my mouth are your words, not mine, because I'm just a redneck from Mississippi. Here we go. Unfortunately, churches are a lot like the political world. You see, instead of us all being on the same team to spread the word of God and save people's eternal souls, not their souls right now, told me you can't go talk at Greg Locke's church.
Why is it that this is skipping around so much? Hang on, let me just step back and listen to that again. Sure enough, it's jumping around. Weird. Okay.
Their souls right now told me you can't go talk at Greg Locke's church. If you go talk at Greg Locke's church, then none of these other churches are going to let you in. Let me tell you something.
Oh, yeah, because Greg Locke likes to attack and criticize and scream about how evil Kenneth Copeland is and all this other junk. That's probably why, going to Greg Locke's church is like a one-way choice. Like, it's a decision that will prevent you from going to any others, pretty much. Because Greg Locke loves to start drama with other churches and televangelists.
And I know we're live right now, and I know this, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of trouble. But let me tell you something. I don't answer to you. I don't answer to Pastor Locke. I answer to God. And when God tells you to do something, I'll go to a satanic church and preach the gospel and say what God wants me to say. Don't tell me what churches I can't go into. Do not tell God where he can go.
Okay, I don't think anybody was trying to prevent you from going there. They were just saying Greg Locke is a shit starter and a drama monger, and if you go there, you're going to be viewed as a drama monger too. Just saying. God, this dude is so ridiculous. Don't tell God where he can and can't go. This is actually propaganda right here. This is a propagandistic way of framing it. This is his way of, trying to hedge his ability to go to other places.
Life. Don't tell me. Whoo, man. In fact, my last point is this. It's time for you, Christian, to stand up. It's time for you, Christian, to realize who you are in the authority of God. It is time for you, Christian, to get rid of these false ideas of what a pastor looks like, or what a church leader looks like, or a church planner looks like, or an evangelist looks like. In fact, it doesn't even look like this.
Wow, he's taking his shirt off. He's getting real.
It looks a lot like this.
He was probably really hot, and that's why he did it. And he decided to try to work that into his whatever. Okay.
How many of you, show of hands, how many of you have scars?
I guess me.
Okay, keep them up, keep them up, keep them up. How many of you have scars that no one can see?
I guess me.
Look around, everybody. Everybody, we all have this idea that we're not good enough. We all have this idea that we're not worthy, and the truth is we're not. But through God's grace, by God's grace, he does amazing things. So let me tell you the funny thing about scars, either physically or emotionally. Context is everything. What do scars say? Scars say that person's been through something. Scars says that person's got a testimony.
I thought scars said that you got a cut on your arm one time or something.
Scars say to us that the past is real, but scars show God that we are ready for his purpose that he has in our lives.
Okay.
So here's my final thing I want to say to you Christians. I want to empower you today. Anybody seen that TV show, The Terminal List? Anybody see that? Don't lie, we're in church.
Okay, I've never seen that before, but all right.
Okay, cool. All right. All two of you. Fantastic. So Chris Pratt is a friend of mine, and
oh, Chris Pratt's in it. Yeah, Chris Pratt, I don't know if you guys are familiar. He's a complete religious nutcase. The dude is unhinged. That is an understatement, but he went to some church that was like known to be a cult for a while. And he came out recently, and I guess he didn't want to be associated with the church anymore. He said, I'm really not that religious. I don't know why everyone thinks I'm, like, religious. Well, that's weird because you just spent, like, the past 10 years telling us how religious you were on every talk show you ever went on. So, yeah. And now this guy's telling us that Chris Pratt is a close personal friend. If that's true, you know, that tells us a little bit about Chris Pratt's beliefs and ideals and stuff. Things that Chris Pratt didn't want anyone to know.
this opening scene of that show where
Yeah, Chris Pratt went to Hillsong. Yeah, that's what I thought.
they actually quote a story in Judges. And so I'm paraphrasing here, but I think it's very important for Christians to hear this right now. Gideon is asking God, how do I figure out who the real soldiers are? How do I figure out who the real people I need are? And God tells Gideon, take them down there to that water. Take them down there and watch and see what they do. And in the story...
Right, so in the story, Gideon was leading an army, and God told him to basically cut the army in half, right? And he said, well, which ones do I choose? And God said, lead them to the river. Anybody who drinks out of it, who leans down and drinks out of it with their mouth directly, send them home. Anybody who, like, pulls the water up in their hands, send them home too. Only people who, like, scoop it up. I don't even know the story anymore. It's been forever, but that's the general sentiment.
It goes 99% of them lay down on their belly. They wash themselves in the water. They're drinking it. They're not paying attention around them. And see, that's what we've got in church right now. And a lot of Christians, we got a lot of Christians doing this. Minding our own business, going about our own way, and let the crazy people talk the crazy things. We'll just talk about it in church and everything will be fine. But there was 1% of people that went down to that water, spear in hand, took that knee down and drank, but kept their eyes straight on the horizon to see what was coming at them in the battles to fight ahead. You see, what we need now, church, is we need warriors. We need people that stand on absolute truth that is the Word of God. And we're not going to bow down to culture. We're not going to bow down to woke society. We're not going to bow down to woke Christianity. We need real Christians, battered, scarred.
Yeah, nobody... Okay, hang on. Nobody cares what you believe or how you practice or any of that stuff. We just care that you are desperately trying to force your beliefs on other people and trying to create a Christian nationalist state. That's basically my problem with this whole thing. Believe what you want. Be a nutcase if that's what makes you feel better. I don't care. When you start infringing on my rights, that's when it becomes a problem.
Down to woke Christianity. We need real Christians, battered, scarred, torn. We need the people that nobody would expect to lead everybody else back to the way of God, because this country is a Christian nation. This country belongs to God. This country belongs to Jesus. And there is hope, my friends, because God isn't dead yet. God is not done yet. Revival is coming to America, and it doesn't start with the people you would believe it to be. It starts with you and you and you and me. It starts with all of us, because God uses the ones that everybody wants to cast out for his miracles ahead. So thank you guys for allowing me to be here. If you believe God is the Lord of this land, give me an amen. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, I guess that was the end of his whole whatever. Interesting. Again, this is Graham, what was his name? Graham Allen? I'd never heard of this guy before. This is my first time. I mean, I guess he's good at grabbing people's attention. I mean, I think he probably believes equally as extreme as Greg Locke does, which is why he came here to speak anyways, but he didn't espouse as extreme ideas as Greg Locke tends to espouse, for what it's worth. Not like during the sermon. Graham clearly doesn't understand Proverbs or Judges in its original context, especially since he's reading it from the King James Version. If he actually understood those books, then he would have quoted them from the original Hebrew understanding. I don't think any of these people really understand the Bible, to be perfectly honest with you. I think they read what they like to read and interpret it the way they want it to be interpreted, and that's it. If they can find some verse to back up some already held belief, then they'll use it. That's it. That's all there is to it, you know? So that's what Greg Locke had to say. That's what Graham Allen had to say. Kind of weird, but interesting, I have to say. In the next part, let's take a look at what Greg Locke has to say for the rest of the service. That's bound to be interesting.